The colonel mocked the black soldier. "Speak Arabic and I'll make you a sergeant." She spoke 9 languages. Amara Wilson gazed at the Iraqi desert through the window of the military Humvee, the heat rippling across the sand as the convoy approached the base. At 28, she never imagined her passion for languages would bring her to a war zone. The daughter of a Jamaican university professor and an African-American librarian from Detroit, Amara grew up in a home where books were revered and languages celebrated as bridges between worlds. The vehicle rattled violently over the uneven terrain, but Amara remained lost in thought, recalling the journey that had brought her there. A graduate in linguistics from the University of Michigan with a specialization in Middle Eastern studies, she had decided to enlist in the American Army not only out of patriotism, but for the opportunity to use her linguistic skills in a broader and more meaningful context. The military's language specialist program promised to place her where her skills would be most needed. "Wilson, we've arrived," announced the driver, interrupting his thoughts. Eagle Rising Military Base stood imposingly in the middle of the desert, an improvised city of containers, tents, and prefabricated buildings surrounded by high walls and barbed wire. Amara grabbed her bag and stepped out of the vehicle, the hot, dry air immediately assaulting her lungs. She straightened her impeccable uniform and walked toward the command post where she would be introduced to her new superior, Colonel James Blackwood, known for his efficiency as well as his difficult temperament. The colonel's secretary, a middle-aged woman with deep, dark circles under her eyes, indicated that Amara should wait. "He's finishing a video conference with the Pentagon," she explained, without lifting her eyes from the documents she was organizing. 20 minutes later, Amara was called into the office. Colonel Blackwood was a broad-shouldered man with gray hair, cut close to the scalp, and piercing blue eyes that seemed to assess every inch of his new subordinate. "Specialist Wilson, reporting to the service." "Sir," Amara saluted, maintaining an upright posture and a fixed gaze. The colonel nodded slightly, gesturing for her to sit down. "Your background is impressive, Wilson. A degree in linguistics, fluency in how many languages exactly?" "9 languages, sir. English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, Farsi, Dari, Urdu, and a little Pashto." Blackwood raised an eyebrow, his face showing a mixture of disbelief and disdain. 9 languages? That would be remarkable for anyone, even more so for someone of your background. Amara maintained a neutral expression, though she felt her blood boiling. It wasn't the first time she'd faced veiled prejudice, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. "Well, that's what your file says, but we know those documents can be generous." Blackwood smiled coldly. "Let's test your skills then. If you really speak Arabic as you claim, tell me how to translate 'this territory belongs to the United States now.'" Amara translated the phrase perfectly, her pronunciation impeccable. The colonel seemed slightly surprised, but quickly regained his composure. "Beginner's luck. And Farsi? How would you say obey orders without question?" Again, Amara responded correctly, remaining calm despite the implied provocation. Blackwood continued testing her in various languages, growing increasingly irritated by her demonstrated competence. "Impressive, Wilson. But, languages are just tools. What really counts here is loyalty, discipline, and the ability to follow the chain of command. Understood?" "Perfectly, sir," Amara replied, already anticipating the challenges she would face under that man's command. "Well, let's see if you have anything besides a sharp tongue. You will be assigned to the tactical intelligence, translating intercepts, and assisting in interrogations when necessary. Your accommodation is already prepared. Dismiss." In the days that followed, Amara immersed herself in her work with exemplary dedication. Her translations were accurate and quick, capturing not only the words but also cultural nuances that often escaped other translators. She identified communication patterns between insurgent cells that had gone unnoticed, allowing the American Army to anticipate and neutralize several threats. Despite her exceptional performance, Amara continued to be treated condescendingly by Colonel Blackwood, who frequently attributed her successes to luck or exaggerated her minor mistakes in reports. Meanwhile, male colleagues with half her ability received praise and opportunities for advancement. On a particularly tense afternoon, after Amara had helped translate a crucial interrogation that revealed the location of a major weapons cache, Blackwood summoned her to his office. Wilson, I'll be direct. You've demonstrated technical competence, but your style doesn't fit well with the team spirit. You question too much. You have too many opinions. With all due respect, sir, I'm just doing my job as efficiently as possible, see? That's exactly what I'm talking about. That attitude. Blackwood leaned across the table. Perhaps you should consider a transfer to administrative duty, something more suited to your profile. Amara took a deep breath. Sir, my profile includes fluency in 9 languages and a deep understanding of local cultures. I believe I am exactly where I can be most useful. The colonel's face flushed with anger. Are you questioning my assessment, soldier? No, sir. Just providing additional information for your consideration. Blackwood let out a dry laugh. You know, Wilson, you remind me of a story. When I was in Afghanistan, I met a local translator. He swore he spoke 5 languages. Impressive, right? Until we discovered he was only making up half of what he translated, compromising entire operation. He paused dramatically. Sometimes I wonder if we aren't living through a similar situation. Are you questioning my integrity, sir? Amara's voice remained controlled, but her eyes betrayed her indignation. I'm saying your record looks too good to be. Speak classical Arabic now, quote a passage from the Quran, and maybe I'll reconsider your position. Do that, and who knows? I might even promote you to sergeant. The challenge came with a mocking smile, as if you were certain would fail. Without hesitation, Amara elegantly recited a passage from Surah Al-Hujurat, which speaks of equality and mutual respect among peoples. Her pronunciation so perfect, she could be mistaken for a native speaker. She then translated the passage into English and explained its historical and cultural context. The smile vanished from the colonel's face, replaced by a barely disguised expression of astonishment. For a moment, he seemed unsure how to react. Finally, he cleared his throat. Well, it seems you really did study. But book knowledge and real-world experience are 2 different things, Wilson. You're dismissed. Amara left the office with her head held high, but a heavy heart. No matter how much she excelled, no matter how many times she proved her worth, there always seemed to be a new obstacle. A new test, a new excuse to deny her the recognition she deserved. In the following weeks, tensions in the region increased significantly. Intercepted communications indicated the possibility of a major attack on the American base or some nearby civilian target. The intelligence team worked tirelessly, but crucial pieces of the puzzle were missing. During a strategic meeting, while the officers discussed possible scenarios, Amara noticed a pattern in the intercepted communications that no one else had perceived. The messages contained veiled references to religious celebrations and local festivals as time markers, something that only someone with deep cultural knowledge could identify. Permission to speak, sir? Amara requested, interrupting the heated discussion. What is it, Wilson? Blackwood replied irritably. I believe the attack is planned for the day after tomorrow, coinciding with the local festival of Al-Qadem. The references in the messages use metaphors related to this celebration as code. An uncomfortable silence filled the room. Blackwood narrowed his eyes. And how did you arrive at that conclusion when none of our senior analysts identified it? The references are culturally specific, sir. They speak of visiting the Golden Shrine and bringing gifts to the 7th. Both clear allusions to Imam Al-Qadem, known as the 7th Imam, whose mausoleum has a golden dome. This festival takes place the day after tomorrow. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, second in command, seemed intrigued. That makes sense, considering the historical pattern of attacks on symbolically significant dates. With all due respect, interjected Major Reynolds, a close ally of Blackwood, it seems to me a great leap of interpretation based on linguistic coincidences. Amara stood firm. These are not coincidences, sir. These are deliberate patterns of coded communication. I can show you similar examples of previous communications that preceded other attacks. Blackwood seemed torn between dismissing Amara's theory and ignoring potentially vital information. Very well, Wilson. Prepare a detailed report and submit it in 2 hours. We'll analyze your theory. The report Amara presented was meticulous, correlating multiple intercepted communications and establishing a compelling pattern. Reluctantly, Blackwood ordered increased security measures and sent teams to monitor potential targets identified by Amara's analysis. When the day of the festival arrived, the tension was palpable at the base. Amara remained in the communications center, monitoring live transmissions. She was the first to pick up the message confirming the start of the insurgent operation, a coordinated attack against a busy market frequented by local civilians and American soldiers on their day off. Thanks to the early warning, American and Iraqi forces were able to evacuate the market and intercept the attackers before they could cause significant damage. What could have been a massacre resulted in 0 civilian casualties and only minor injuries to 2 soldiers. At the post-operation meeting, the success was undeniable. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez was the first to acknowledge a crucial role. Specialist Wilson's analysis saved dozens, possibly hundreds of lives today. Her linguistic and cultural knowledge was decisive. Other officers agreed, praising Amara's insight and dedication. Only Blackwood remained silent, clearly uncomfortable with the recognition his subordinate was receiving. When she finally spoke, it was with a forced formality. Indeed, Specialist Wilson contributed to the operation. However, I would like to remind everyone that this was a joint effort of the entire intelligence team and the forces on the ground. After the meeting, as the officers dispersed, Martinez approached Amara. "Impressive work, Wilson. It's not every day we see intelligence analysis of this caliber." "Thank you, sir. I was just doing my job." Well, his just job saved lives. Colonel Blackwood may not show it, but he knows it. Martinez hesitated, as if pondering whether he should continue. You know, Blackwood is old school. It took him a long time to accept women in combat roles, let alone strategic positions, and people of color. Well, let's just say his worldview was formed in another era. Amara nodded, maintaining a neutral expression. "I understand, sir. I'm not justifying, just explaining. Keep doing what you do best, Wilson. People like you are changing the military for the better, whether veterans like Blackwood acknowledge it or not." The following morning, to Amara's surprise, she received a summons to appear at the colonel's office. Upon entering, she found Blackwood accompanied by General Patel, the regional commander who rarely visited field bases. "Specialist Wilson," the general greeted, extending his hand. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Your work in intelligence analysis has been remarkable." "Thank you, sir. It's an honor." Colonel Blackwood was telling me about his extraordinary performance and his contribution to preventing yesterday's attack. Amara couldn't completely hide her surprise when she heard that Blackwood had spoken positively about her. The colonel kept his eyes fixed on some papers on his desk, avoiding his subordinate's gaze. "General Patel is conducting a review of intelligence protocols at all bases in the region," Blackwood explained, finally looking at Amara. "He is particularly interested in our approach to linguistic and cultural analysis." "Actually," the general interjected, "I'm assembling a special task force to develop new protocols for integrating cultural and linguistic analysis into tactical intelligence. Your expertise would be invaluable, Specialist Wilson. It would be an honor to be a part of this project, sir." "Excellent. And considering your exceptional contributions, I am authorizing your immediate promotion to sergeant, with a recommendation to expedite the promotion process to first-class sergeant after the project's completion." Amara felt a wave of contradictory emotions: pride at the recognition, shock at the speed of events, and a pang of satisfaction at seeing Blackwood's uncomfortable expression. "Thank you for the opportunity and the trust, sir." After the general left, a heavy silence settled in the office. Blackwood remained seated, shuffling papers unnecessarily. Finally, he sighed and looked at Amara. "Congratulations, Sergeant." The words came out with effort, as if ripped from him. "Your performance has been adequate, thank you, sir." Amara maintained a professional tone, refusing to show any sign of triumph. "You remember what I said about promoting you to sergeant if you spoke Arabic, don't you?" A bitter smile crossed his lips. "Looks like I'm a man of my word after all." "You are, above all, an officer who values efficiency and results," Amara replied diplomatically. "I appreciate the opportunity to continue serving under your command before my transfer to the task force." Blackwood nodded, an undefined expression on his face. "You know, Wilson, when I was your age, things were different. The army was different." He paused as if searching for the right words. Maybe, ... Maybe it's good that things are changing. It was the closest thing to an acknowledgement or apology Amara would receive, and she understood the significance of that moment. I believe there's always room for improvement, sir, even in the most valued institutions. In the weeks leading up to her transfer, Amara noticed a subtle shift in the behavior of Blackwood and other officers who had previously looked down on her. It wasn't a complete transformation. Deeply ingrained prejudices don't disappear overnight, but there was a new, albeit reluctant, respect. On her last night at Eagle Rising, Amara sat alone in the nearly empty mess hall, reflecting on her journey. From the girl who grew up fascinated by languages in Detroit to the decorated soldier about to help reshape intelligence protocols, it had been a path of continuous challenges and quiet triumph. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez approached with a cup of coffee. "Do you mind if I join you, Sergeant Wilson?" "Absolutely not, sir." Martinez sat down across from her. "Last night, huh? Mixed feelings?" Amara smiled slightly. "Some. I'm looking forward to the new challenge, but also, I've learned a lot here. The base certainly learned from you." Martinez took a sip of coffee. "You know, I spoke with Blackwood today. He mentioned that he's considering implementing some of your cultural analysis techniques across the entire intelligence." "Really?" Amara couldn't hide her surprise. "Apparently, you left a lasting impression. That's no small feat considering ... Well, considering everything." They both knew what everything meant: the initial prejudice, the systemic barrier, the reluctance to acknowledge the value of someone who didn't fit the traditional mold of what a soldier or intelligence analyst should be. "Sometimes," Martinez continued, "change happens not with grand pronouncements or policy, but person by person, day after day. Someone like you does your job so extraordinarily well that it becomes impossible to ignore or dismiss." Amara nodded thoughtfully. "I hope my work on the task force helps create more opportunities for people like me, women, people of color, anyone who has something valuable to offer, but who is traditionally undervalued." "I'm sure of it." Martinez stood up, preparing to leave. "Oh, I almost forgot. Blackwood asked me to give you this." He placed a small envelope on the table. "Good luck in your new post, Sergeant Wilson. The Army needs more people like you." After Martinez left, Amara opened the envelope. Inside was an official letter of recommendation signed by Colonel Blackwood, praising her exceptional analytical ability, unparalleled linguistic proficiency, and exemplary dedication to... The words were formal, but the gesture spoke volume. The following morning, as the helicopter took off, carrying her to her new mission, Amara watched the base shrinking below her. She thought of all the languages she mastered, of all the worlds she could access through words. She thought of how, sometimes, the most important language was that of example, doing her job with unwavering excellence, day after day, exceeding expectations and quietly breaking down barriers. The desert stretched endlessly around, golden under the rising sun. Amara smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment and purpose. Her journey was only beginning, but she had already proven something fundamental, not just to Colonel Blackwood or the American Army, but to herself. In a world that often doubted her before even hearing her speak, she had found her most powerful voice, not in a specific language, but in the universal language of competence and courage. Laboratories, courtrooms, and battlefields around the world, women whose knowledge, skills, and unique perspectives were constantly questioned or minimized. "Speak Arabic and I'll make you a sergeant," the colonel had mocked. She not only spoke Arabic, but transformed 9 languages into instruments of peace and protection. In a world often divided by misunderstandings and prejudices, Amara had transformed her ability to understand different languages and cultures into a bridge, not just between words, but between people. The future stretched before him, vast and full of possibility, like the infinite sky above him. That's right, and Amara Wilson was ready for every challenge, every obstacle, every opportunity to prove once again that her words, in any language, had power.